Final life is good. I can tell you it's a different sleeping arrangement, a different time pattern, but it's all good.
Any update on Montero?
Just that we're close. We won't have him for the start of fall camp, but hopefully, I should say this: the first 10 days, we're in summer school too, so he won't be in our summer school. So it really doesn't benefit us to have him in that part. But the next 2 weeks, hopefully, we'll have him there, and if not, for sure, at the start of fall semester.
What does he got to get done?
Just the final couple, dot the I's, cross the T's, and then unfortunately, sometimes there's a little bit of lag in NCAA stuff as well, as you're dealing with a lot of paperwork and coursework and getting everything in a short amount of time. Sometimes it just doesn't happen as fast as we want.
Bret, with him getting here so late, does that affect his chances of playing this year?
I think Buster's a really good player on film. So I think the physicality of just playing the game, I think, is not going to come new to him. I think obviously the system and how quick he picks those things up. And, we have a pretty strong DB class, so I'm not – it's not like a do-or-die situation for him to get here. I think we find out, just like we do with all freshmen, what can they handle mentally and physically, and if the answer is yes, we'll go ahead. If not, we'll definitely have a chance to redshirt him.
Brett, when you think back to last year, you talked about it a little bit, and then how the kind of renewed enthusiasm, not only on your part from what you have, but these guys learning from that. Can you talk a little bit about just how this offseason's been a little different, maybe?
I think all the way from I wrote our guys a letter on Friday. I went a little old school and wrote a letter, put it in their lockers, and just from the time we came back in January, the things they've addressed, the things that they've done, not only with us as coaches but away from the game amongst themselves, has been very fulfilling for me. I think our coaches, Coach Herbert as well, have had zero issues of guys being late or not being where they're supposed to be at the right time. A lot of our guys were there 20, 30 minutes ahead of time. Frank Ragnow, I think, kind of spearheaded that, and it kind of permeated through the whole team. And just they're excited. They're just constant reminders all the time. I see Jordan Spieth go through what he did yesterday. That I'm not saying there's a great correlation between golf and football, but the mentality of the game, that just because you've been in a situation, you don't have to be defined to it. You can change the answer at any time, and I think our guys are eager.
Guys like Greenlaw and Cornelius, like you said, the hamstring, are they all?
Yeah, the only guy that could be a little bit of a limitation for us, actually will not be in our 105, that's a scholarship player, is Alexi Baptiste. He had a surgery on his foot. And he's really kind of buttoned up to the edge of it. We expect him to be full go, when classes start. But as far as him being able to be there through fall camp, wasn't going to be able to be where we needed him to. So a couple other guys might be a little bit limited as far as what we're doing with him, but nobody else will be taken out of it.
How will this year be different in fall camp with the early start?
Yeah, it's really almost a 6-week window because we play a Thursday night game and because of all the changes. We're reporting early. I think we're probably the first SEC school to report, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the first. So we have to take into accountability the length of it, but also not a new rule. We've always had to have a day off, but by new definition, this 1 day a week, which is going to be for us every Sunday. I just kind of went back and forth. Sometimes we're thinking about Monday, Sunday, just having that Sunday as a day off for everything that you got to get done during that day. That'll be our standard day off or during the 5.5 weeks of camp. I think you got to break up the monotony a little bit with what you do, how you do it. I do think because what we're modeling after now is kind of more of the NFL model. We're usually chasing them in certain things, or they're chasing us. And the part that I've really done a lot of research over the last several months, the NFL, when they went to this condensed model of only having one-a-day practices, the players that kind of seem to have the least benefit to this was the younger players that needed more time, more development. So we're doing some extra things either before practice or after practice that'll allow our younger players or the players that haven't had as much time to get a little bit more, a little time with us as coaches.
Bret, have you talked to Sebastian since his
I did talk to Sebastian briefly yesterday. Obviously, I became aware of it through a couple different, I guess one of the blessings in disguise when Briella gets me up a little earlier, I look at my phone. Unfortunately, it was a negative situation. I was just first, my heart went out just to make sure everything was okay. Reached out to Sebastian, didn't get him. Reached out to his mom, she answered. Talked through the scenario, kind of just went back and forth during the course of the day, and thankfully he's good. Anytime you're in a situation like this, you just obviously got to make awareness for the individuals involved. But for me, thankfully, it didn't involve any of our current roster. But I think it's a kind of one of those alarms that goes off in your head to kind of just make everybody aware of what potentially is out there in the world we live in today.
You've talked to him a lot about changing his life. He's talked about how you said that you changed his life, came to Arkansas. Do you feel like you kind of stepped back in there a little bit as a mentor now?
He's kind of always been on that edge, and love him to death. Verbatim, when I got a hold of him yesterday, I said, hey, first thing I do is hug you. The next thing I do is probably punch you. You know what I mean? I want him to realize what he has, So we'll continue to work. I love the kid to death, and hopefully he'll triumph this moment.
When you look at the two deep, what kind of positions are you really going to be staring at?
Great question. I think, on the offensive side of the ball, just to get our best 10 linemen. I think, you got 6 guys that have started, but find out who you're always concerned about, really kind of the top 8, right? So your first 5, and then your best swing guard, your best swing tackle, and who's your best your center. And I think we have a lot of those questions, but a lot of them are going to get solidified. I think at tight end, you have Austin Cantrell that's kind of up here, and then there's just a covey of tight ends that would kind of all, trying to jockey for that spot. Jeremy Patton being one of them, who's been really, really engaged, but also C.J. O'Grady's probably been as good as I've seen in Will Gregg. There's several guys that just are poised to do some things. I think at running back, David Williams has been very, very engaged. Kids seem to be excited. He looked good through things that I've been able to watch so far. Just his movement. He's got great football IQ and see exactly where he's at. At tight end too, Grayson Gunner, a guy that wasn't there in the spring. So now you got a couple guys, him and Jeremy, that haven't been there. Wide receiver again, you got Jerry Cornelius here, and then just a covey of guys that are looking to kind of establish themselves where they're at. And then on the defense side of the ball, really up front, you got Bijan and Austin Capps and Sosa, who have played quite a bit. But other than that, it's a whole group of new characters. At linebacker, I really like the growth Scooter's had. Dre Greenlaw has got to kind of, get back into the groove of things since he missed the entire spring. And then in the back end, we probably have as much depth as we've ever had. So I'm excited, but there are a lot of positions where there's a couple guys that maybe have played quite a bit, but that next tier is what we're looking to find out.
You're not as concerned about maybe the turnover you've had at wide receiver and running back because you have Austin Allen back. How much does that help with your comfort level?
Well, I think anytime you lose players of quality, you get concerned. But as a coach, you don't get as concerned maybe as the outside world because you've seen things come along. Deion Stewart has had a really, really good spring, and really going back to last fall, had a good close. Unfortunately, got his ankle twisted in that bowl game. He started early with the ball to fire, So I like a couple of the new guys, a couple of junior college players. We did add another player, Gary Cross, since the last time we talked, who will be joining us. That right now is at wide receiver, just kind of find out and see what he's all about. But I do think Austin's had a tremendous effect on that program. But I tell you, Jay Red has really had a nice summer, and I'm excited about the growth that he's had as a leader.
Ole Miss has got some stuff going on. Do you have any thoughts about you and what's happening?
You know what? I again, don't like comment on things I don't know about. Obviously, the part that I just, when you're dealing with someone that you've developed a relationship with and see them go through things and don't know all the answers, have not talked to them. But in addition to that, just college football, it's just we're all in this profession for all the right reasons, and you just hate when anything can be brought to light that's a negative to our, even just if there's anything negative about college football, it affects all of us, in the general population and general light. So difficult situation, but I'm sure Ole Miss will champion it.
What kind of summer did Jeremy Bell have?
Jamario Bell?
Yeah.
Get confused, doesn't it? Right? See? Mario's had a really good summer, I think, especially the way he kind of capped off the final, probably, I would say, the last 6 practices of the spring were really engaging. He worked really hard. I've been impressed with his just his awareness around the program and being engaged. So I'm excited that position is going to have a lot of competition in the fall.
What are you really hoping to get out of the backup quarterback job? How quickly do you want to see that?
Yeah, good question. So Austin kind of like a wide receiver, kind of like a running back, kind of like at maybe at linebacker or DB. You got a guy in Austin who's kind of set himself away from those others, but Ty Story is probably playing as good a football as I've seen him play. I've seen him witness. Cole Kelly had a procedure done during the winter that really shot him up for a great spring, and then in the summer he's been good. He looks lean. He looks really, really good. I'm excited to see those two kind of probably battle it out for that number 2 spot, and then you have a couple guys battling out for that that 4 spot, and who's going to travel with us in addition to the freshman quarterback, Dalton Hyatt. We had a local product in Jack Lindsay, and then also Carson Proctor's walk on from Florida that's done some good things. So there's a lot of competition going on.
Brett, offensive line's been so important to you
Yeah.
over the years as a head coach. What do you expect to change? You know, it was uncharacteristic, the number of sacks and
Yeah.
running the ball in key situations. What do you think is going to be different?
Well, I think twofold. You got to have the right people. We just probably, again, one of my biggest. And looking back in hindsight, I probably would have taken a couple more linemen early on in my first year or two signing class to get more numbers. That first class took 3, probably should have taken 5. A couple others. Then we lost a couple guys early, so our numbers just weren't there of valuable, in my opinion, SEC-type players. But that number's there now. I really believe competition brings the best out of people. We're always going to want to be a little bit better, but I really like the mentality of this group. I love the demeanor that Kurt brings. I like the mental approach that Frank's kind of permeated through that whole group, and I'm excited to see him work.
You got Luke Jones in class of 2018. Kind of how's that going? What's the update there?
I can't comment about anybody recruiting.
On the 2018, how's just that going? How many do you expect to see?
2018 recruiting for us is going to be unique in the fact that it'll probably be one of the smallest classes I signed to this point. And that's just based off of a small senior class, which is this class that I'm going into, my 5th year, is really lost a lot of good players already to the NFL. So it's a smaller class by nature and the pure number of the five years I love to work for, 5 years. So one of the first and biggest challenges of this class is who you take, and more importantly, sometimes about who you don't take. We have guys that are very, very dear and important to our program, but because we're dealing with such few numbers, we aren't able to take everybody we want, especially in state. So it kind of gets. You try to get creative. You try to find ways to maybe make it all work, but on the same count, you just got to prioritize who you want.
Hey, Brett, what's your relationship with Frank Broyles been like since you've been here?
With Coach Broyles? Yeah. It's been good. I think that so many times in life you're shaped by people that you have no idea you're going to come in contact with, and I was obviously I knew Coach Fry's experience with Coach Broyles in Arkansas, but I didn't realize how much it maybe affected his career early, which then in turn affected me greatly by playing for him, but then also coaching for him. When I first got here, I had a million different things going on, and I know several people connected Coach Broyles and I remember specifically going down to the foundation when he was still going to the foundation every day and having a lunch with him and having a few moments that were very, very important to me. I can't speak on Coach's behalf, but they were really cool to me. And then during the course of time, just to learn so many things about him, that helped me during my time here and hopefully continue in the future. I would say that 2 guys that I kind of wish that I had gotten to know on a better scale if I was just 5 years earlier or 10 years earlier was Coach Broyles and Jim Lindsey, both those guys.
Is there any, I know you maybe don't want to speak for him, but is there any advice he gave you that you can share?
Just when we were sitting down there, he talked about the people of Arkansas. It wasn't an X's and O or anything that really pertains to the specifics of football. It was more about the there's only one Razorback, right? I got that across to me in a big way. Also, just what you give to Arkansas, they'll give back to you tenfold, and I think that's been the case ever since.
Little girl just being about a month old, obviously guys have babies and go back to work all the time, but you're getting ready for the season.
Yeah.
Is it hard to get ready for a season when you're such a new dad?
I understand why the outside world say that, but I just FaceTimed my wife during a baby appointment on the way up, so you got to get creative on things you want to be present for. I never really thought I'd be FaceTiming into a baby appointment on the way to a golf tournament, but it is what it is. And again, my wife's unbelievable, so it kind of helps me out in that regards. I've had the people, just like I made a comment there, just what people have sent us, the gifts, the thoughts, it's just overwhelming. So it's cool to witness, but also my wife, last night, she's like, you lay back down. She goes, you got a big job in front of you tomorrow. So I got an understanding family who makes it twice as easy.
What's the planning been like for the season with you two? And have you guys talked about any changes in your schedule?
Not really. I volunteered to sleep in the other room, but not really. Just kind of simplistic things that until she's comfortable leaving her. We have to have help around. Her mom's in town. Other people are coming. My family will be in town once fall camp. So a lot of different things, but nothing that really is going to affect the day-to-day routine of me.
Right, with the change on defense, what are you really expecting to see improvement when you get through?
I think we've recruited a higher caliber athlete here since year one to where we are now. I really like the fact we'll have 8 guys on their feet, playing before the ball snapped. I think athletically we should be able to do that. I think just reading out of a 3-4 scheme, the ability to be universal and where you're tipping your coverage or maybe you're tipping it's a little bit harder to detect. And being on the other side of the ball offensively, watching 3-4 schemes, the unknown of their pre-snap keys is probably one of the bigger things, and the ability to get lined up in a quicker fashion too. So you can't put a price tag on the biggest people on our field are those D linemen, and we used to have maybe a defensive end would play a 3 technique, a 5 technique, or a 9 technique. He could be lined up on 3 different people. Now, really, for all practical purposes, when you're a defensive end, you're going to line up somewhere on that offensive tackle. When you're a nose, you're going to line up somewhere on that center, and everything else kind of plays off that. So just for the ability for them to get lined up in a quicker fashion should be very beneficial.
Couple more. All good?
How are your dogs handling
The dogs. Everybody seems to be just fine. I think I moved down officially to number 5 in the house is the only problem I got.
So the dogs aren't jealous?
No. Rick's got no problem. He didn't know what's going on. He sniffs her a little bit. Lucy tries to actually cover her up. My wife got concerned that she was trying to bury her at first, but I guess that's the motherly instincts of a dog, kind of tries to cover up the baby. Lucy protects over her big time.
Hey, Brett, you mentioned Gary Cross.
Yeah.
What's his story?
Gary's out of Fordyce. He's a kid that we placed up at Hutch. I believe was a torn ACL his senior year, so went there, redshirted his first year, played the next 2 years. Was a guy that we were recruiting. Unfortunately, had some road speed bumps to get through to get to his degree, and once I saw that was going to be in the realm of possibility, he had some other options that were in front of him. We pursued him. Got magical with a way to postpone a scholarship opportunity, although I'm totally out of 2017 initials. We were able to not recruit him and be able to count him forward and get him in our program.
So he's on scholarship?
Eventually.
Okay. So not right now, though?
No.
Okay. You know who else is from Fordyce?
Oh.
Bear Bryant.
Yes, I know this. A couple other important Barry, the Red Bugs, right?
That's right, yeah.
Red Bugs?
Every Lacewell,
Yeah.
Is that name Cross or Crosby?
Cross. Gary Cross.
Coach, can you speak on any updates of the stadium or just how that's going?
Just looks great. I go by. We went by pretty early during the last couple of weeks here with early morning workouts. There's people in there at 5 a.m. and I remember I drove home on a Sunday night at like 10:30 at night, and there was somebody in there working at 10:30. I mean, so I literally think somebody's in there 24/7 grinding in some way.